Shabbat Shalom. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. לי 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 לי. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. I began with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other. To work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, yitivanu, lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the lights of Shabbat. Ma yafe hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafe hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. We will now start with Lecha Dodi. As we reach the last verse of Lecha Dodi, we will rise and turn toward the entrance to greet the presence of Shabbat. If you are home, feel free to rise in your heart and mind. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela, Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Tishmi'anu el hameyochad. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela, Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmiyanu el-ha-meyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, Leshem u'teferet v'litila. Lecha dodi, lecha dodi likrat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lehu v'nelcha, Ki mekor habraha, Merosh mikidem nesucha, Sof maaseh b'machsheva tekila. Lecha dodi, lecha dodi likrat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela. Yaminu smol tifrutzi, Let Adonai taritzi, Al yarish ben parsi, V'nismecha v'nagila. Lecha dodi, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, Gam simcha u'tzvot zchola, Toch emunei am segula, Boi chala, boi chala. Lecha dodi, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela. Please be seated. Shalom aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Borki leshalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Sehem leshalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Yikadal, Yikadash Shemeh Rabbah, Be'alma Divra Kute, Ve'amlik Malchute, Bechayon Uvyomechon, Uvchaye Ve'kol Ber Israel, Bagala, Bagala, Uvisman Kari, Bemeru, Amen. Yeheshme Rabba Mevarak, Le'alam Ulad Me'al Maya, Yitbarak, Yitbarak, Vishtabak, Yiraparbit Naman, Vitnase, Vidhadar, Vidhale, Vidhalal, Shemed Kusha, Brifu, Leila Min Kol Berata, Beshirata, Tush Behata, Venehemata, Damiran Bealma, Bemeru, Amen. Please rise for the Barhu. La 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 la. Lai 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 lai. La 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 la. Baruch et Adonai Hamevorak. Baruch Adonai Hamevorak. Hamevorak Leolam Vaed. Hamevorak. Hamevorak Leolam Vaed. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening to being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are a creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night, and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai votes your name, ever-living God. May you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai Hamariv Aravim. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. ואהבת את אדוני עולך בכל אביך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, ושבתך בביתך, ובדתך בדרך, ובשופך ובקומך, ובקצתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטובות בעיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לעולים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments, and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohim Emet. Amen. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Lie, 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 la, lie, la, 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 lie, 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 la, lie, la, 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 lie. La 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 la. Mi chamo kabay limadonai, mi chamo kaner bakadoresh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele. Malchut harau vanecha, vokem yam yivnemu shemiram, ze elianu veramru. Zelianu veramru Adonai imlo leolam vaed. Adonai imlo leolam vaed. la 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 la. La 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 la. Ya da la 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 la. Benemar tifara Adonai Yaakov, u'alomi hasak imenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamedenu shomreinu lechaim. Ushmor Sitenu, Uvoenu, Lechayim Shalom, Me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Ve'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukkah shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Israel ve'al Yerushalayim. Amen. Ve'shamru bnei Israel et hashabat לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. בינו ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים נשא אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from work and was refreshed. Please rise. Adonai sefer titak ufi yagit hilatecha. Adonai sefer titak ufi yagit hilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'oleh avotenu v'imutenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, ve'oleh Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, V'anora, El Elyon, Gomin Hasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'socher Hasdeavot V'yamot, Umeveh Geolah Livnei B'nehem, Leman Shemo Behava. Melech Osio Mashiach Umagen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'sarat Sarah. Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mekaela kolata Ravlushia Moriratal. Mechayel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayel Hakol Berakamim Rabim. So make Nuflim Rofe Hulim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishene Afar, Michamo Kabal Giburot, Umido Melak, Melek Memit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiak Yeshua. Benemenatala HaKorak. Baruch Ata Adonai, Mechayel HaKol. Ata Kadosh, Mishak Kadosh, Ukedoshim Vekol Yom, Hallelujah, Selah. Baruch Ata Adonai, Hayel HaKadosh. You may be seated or continue in silent prayer. O say Shalom Bimruma. Huya say Shalom Aleinu. Ve'al Kol Israel. Bimru, Bimru, Amen. O say Shalom Bimruma. Huya say Shalom Aleinu. Ve'al Kol Israel, Vimru, Vimru, Amen. Yah say Shalom, Yah say Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Israel. Yah say Shalom, Yah say Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Israel. Yah say Shalom, Yah say Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Israel. Yah say Shalom, Yah say Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Israel. Bimru, Amen. Shabbat Shalom. This week's parasha is Chukat. For 40 years in the desert, the Jewish people received their drinking water miraculously from a rock. Our parasha tells us that when Miriam, Moses' sister, passed away, the rock disappeared. After the Jews complained of the lack of water, God instructed Moses to speak to the rock in order for it to resume supplying water. Instead of speaking, Moses struck the rock and it began to give water. Even though God had once before instructed Moses to hit the rock as a means of receiving water back in Exodus, this was not God's command in this parsha. For not having entirely listened to God's directive, Moses was rebuked and was told that he is not allowed to enter into the promised land. Understanding Moses' mistake in this affair is a matter of dispute. Rashi tells us that the sin committed by Moses was not following God's exact orders. He should have spoken to the rock instead of hitting it. Maimonides argued that the real sin stems from Moses becoming angry with the Jews before striking the rock. Let us first try to understand why God commanded Moses to speak to the rock in order to get it to gush forth water, even though he had at an earlier time told Moses to strike the rock. Why this change? A rock is traditionally a metaphor for an insensitive heart. A rock is lifeless, cold, and heavy, hence the expression, a heart of stone. Water, on the other hand, is refreshing and invigorating and the source of all life. Water is thus a symbol for the Torah. which is life sustaining. When the Jews first had a problem with their water supply, it was a manifestation of a deeper spiritual issue. The lack of water reflected a lack of spiritual life and involvement. God thus showed Moses that even a rock can produce water, meaning that no matter how hardened or desensitized a person can be, one can always find spiritual life within. Sadly, accessing that water might not always be so easy. So there might need to be a need to strike the rock, to chip away at that tough exterior in order to uncover the spiritual potential which lies beneath the surface. This was the message in Exodus. Moses' striking of the rock at that point was illustrative of the lowly state in which the Jews found themselves. Their spiritual wheels could not begin to turn without breaking that hardness. 40 years later, when a similar water shortage took place, Moses again took this as an indication that something was not right with the Jewish people's spiritual well-being. Clearly, he thought there was a need to strike at the rock again to break that coldness. Thus, Moses became angry with them. His anger was a way of breaking their shell and putting them back on a path of spiritual growth. Thus, Rashi, who says that Moses sinned in striking the rock, and Maimonides, who relates his sin to him becoming angry, really doesn't differ from each other. The intent behind both the striking of the rock and Moses' anger is one of the same, to forcefully break the Jews' insensitivity and coldness. As good intentioned as Moses was, he was mistaken. This was not the same generation that had come out of Egypt. These were their children. The Jews who were ready to enter into Israel after 40 years in the wilderness did not experience the Sinai revelation or the miracles in Egypt. They did not possess a hardened heart that needed to be broken. To extract the pure waters of godliness from their hearts, they merely needed to be spoken to be educated, to be made aware. They needed to be shown. They were innocent. They needed to be taught. So Moses exhibited a connection to the early generation. God therefore removed him from leading the new generation, not as a punishment per se, but simply because his soul did not relate fully to their unique spiritual needs. The message for us is obvious. When we approach someone who seems to be hardened or disinterested, our approach must be one of warmth, not harshness, not disdain. Shabbat Shalom. Our thoughts turn to those who are not feeling well. Please speak the names of those who are in need of healing. We also mention in our prayers Tal Hazon, Jacob Hazon, James Dutremaine, Yolanda Easley, Oscar Garcia, Victoria Fisman, Alan Fisman, Deborah Gowitz, Michael Raff, Conchis Espino, Mike Ginsberg, Norma Einhorn, Patty Landsman, Judy Franklin, and Anthony Lark. Mi sheberak avoteinu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberak imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. Amen. Avinu Shabbat Shalom. O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in a land of and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. Please rise. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet gurula lerosher bereshit, shelo asanu kegoye aratzot, belo samanu kimshok hot hadama, shelo sam kalkenu kahem, begor aleinu kechol amonam, venaknu korim, umishtachavim umudim, Lifnei melech malchei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu noteh shamayim veyosed haaretz umoshav yekaro bashamayim imal ushinaruso vegovei meromim hu Eloheinu einod emet malkeinu epezulato Kakatu betorato bidata hayom behoshavota elavavecha ki Adonai hu Elohim bashamayim imal ve'al haaretz dakat einon. Ne'emal v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. You may be seated. There are stars up above, so far away, we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we love. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. At this time, I invite you to speak the names of those you are remembering. We remember Serge Bernier, Eugenio Colon, Norma Rabinovich, Rodrigo Diaz, John Brown, Dora Goldberg Friedman, Lionel Goetz, Leonora Nodi Pearson Gent, Marco Antonio Trejo Rusco, Michelle Bernstein, Juanita Straber Kaufman, Stuart Klein. Yard sites for the week, Abraham Lipkin and Isaac Huckman, who will now recite the mourner's Kaddish. Those who are mourning and those who wish to rise may do so now. Yidgadal v'kadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrachute ve'amlig malchute, Bechayon u'mechon u'kayed ekol beit Yisrael, Hagala u'bizman karif emru amen. Yeshme Rabba Mevarak Le'elam. Ulal Me'almaya. Yidbarak, Yishtabak, Yitafar Binaman, Yitnase. Yithadal, Yithalel, Yithalal, Shemed, Kusha, Berifu. Lela Min Kol Berasa Beshirata. Bishpechata, Benechemata. Damiran Belma, Bimur Amen. Yesh Lama Rabba Min Shemaya. V'achayim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Bimur Amen. Osei Shalom Bimuma. Uyasa Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Bimur Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us all, to all of Israel, and to all the world. You may be seated. Announcements. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome, everyone. We all have a responsibility under Jewish law to protect one another. With this in mind, if you are planning to attend services in person, please keep the following in mind. Anyone experiencing any symptoms of COVID-19 should continue attending services online. Wearing a mask, covering your nose and mouth is required at all times while in the building. Although we are all eager to spend time with one another, social distancing is required at all times. No lingering will be permitted either before or after services in the sanctuary or foyer. Children must remain with their parents at all times. Although Rabbi Farr wishes to spend time with you all on Shabbat, it is not possible at this time. He is, however, available for individual appointments on weekdays and evenings. Please replace prayer books, kippot, and talitot at the table outside the door for cleaning. Please follow all posted guidelines and announcements. We have upcoming events at the temple. Saturday morning Torah study at 9 a.m. on Zoom only. Saturday morning service at 10:30 a.m. by Zoom, Facebook Live, or YouTube, or in person in sanctuary. All services are followed by an oneg social on Zoom to spend time together as a community. For our birthdays and simchas, happy birthday goes out to Leslie Flores from June 16th, Laurie Goldberg, June 18th, Dr. Herschel Silberman, June 19th, and happy anniversary goes out to Pablo and Pamela Fernandez, Jim and Valerie Mehi. If you know of any simchas in the community, such as births, new homes, promotions, or awards, please contact the temple office or Rabbi Farb so that we may celebrate the blessing together. Shabbat Shalom. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terim Kol Yisir Nivra Leit Nasa V'chevsko Kol Lasai Melech Shemo Nikra V'hare Kiklot HaKol Levado Yimlok Nora Vehu Haya Vehu Hove Vehu Yeh B'tifara Vehu Echad V'in Sheni Lehamshilo Lehagbira Beli Reshit Beli Tachlit Velo Haos Vehamizra Vehu Eli V'hai Goli V'sur Hevli V'tzara Vehu nisi umanos li menat kosi beyom ikra beyado lavkit ruhi beit ishan ve'aira v'im ruhi giviyati Adonai li velo ira. Shabbat Shalom.